Hello everyone, welcome to This Day. It is Friday, it is February 7th. I'm Michael Taylor, happy to be here on this off and on cloudy kind of wet day. We're going to be talking about some interesting stuff on the show. We haven't seen the sun for a little while, but Dr. John Hovhannissian from Harvard Eye, he's going to be here talking about sun damage to your eyes. So make sure you stay tuned for that, how you can prevent it, and some of the treatments that they have if there is some sun damage that you can do to maybe make some repairs there. And then later in the program, Sports Corner with Cole Young. I have a good idea what he's going to be talking about this week, so stay tuned for that one as well. Should be a fun preview. All right, let's talk about staying informed, and we got some good stuff for you. You know, we have folks from GRF, United and Third. They appear as guests on our show a lot, and they have lots of interesting things to say about their board meetings. They give us rundowns of those kinds of things. So those board meetings can sometimes be difficult to get to, but we have them right here if you want to know what's going on in your community, what the board decisions are making, and you can also watch them on our YouTube channel, our episodes from This Day where we feature them. So if you want to get more information about what the board's doing, summaries about the meetings, you can watch us. Of course, you can also go to the meetings list on the website and find out when they're meeting and go there in person too. But I just want to make sure you guys know that we have those folks in all the time. They give us great summaries, and that's one way to find out what's going on in your boards. So stay tuned to that. All right, let's take a quick check of the weather while we're here. And we got a little bit off and on rain going on just this morning. It's going to basically clear out, and that's going to be the end of the rain for a little while until we go into later next week, where we think we might have another chance at a little bit of rain. But for that, we're going to have mostly cloudy to partly cloudy, and then even maybe a mostly sunny day on Monday. We'll take that. So it's kind of off and on clouds as we go. So we'll have that mix of things. Temperature's going to be in the low 60s for the foreseeable future. Let's take a look at our sunrise and our sunset while we're at it. And we got a beautiful picture here of the Lunar New Year photo from Ms. Sheila Rifoy. Thank you so much for sending that one in to us. Look at those beautiful decorations hanging around there. Sunrise this morning was 6:42. Sunset tonight is going to be 5:48. If you'd like to send us a picture of New Year's, Chinese New Year's, any kind of New Year's, we'd love to see them, and pets, places around town, whatever you got, send it to us. Laguna Woods Village TV at gmail.com. Make sure you include your name, where you took the picture, and we will use it in our sunrise, sunset segment. All right, we got one meeting to tell you about. Then when we come back, we'll be talking to Dr. John Hovhannissian from Harvard Eye Associates. Stay with us.
Welcome to Harvard Eye Associates. We're focused on your eye care at all three of our Orange County locations.
Our new location in Laguna Hills, Orange, and San Clemente.
Each facility features the latest in advanced technology and diagnostic equipment.
And a trusted collection of doctors that care about your vision and your quality of life.
We deliver what matters to you and your family.
Harvard Eye Associates, the future of vision today.
From Harvard Eye Associates, we want to welcome Dr. John Hovhannissian back to our program as usual. Thanks
Hello,
for joining
Michael.
us.
How are you?
Our monthly visit talking about eyeballs, and we're going to talk about sun damage and the eye and how to treat it, maybe some prevention stuff. So, what are the most common things in terms of eye damage from the sun that we get? I mean, we know we're not supposed to stare at the sun, so is it not using sunglasses? What are the lists here?
Well, we are in the wonderful sun-drenched Southern California, and when there aren't fires, making the skies dark or rainy springtime weather, we get a lot of sun here. Mm-hmm. And so we see an awful lot of patients who have different types of sun damage. Mm-hmm. And really, when you think about it, the eye is a particularly vulnerable target for sun damage because light rays pass right into the very back of the eye. Unlike getting past the skin, they don't affect too many other parts of the body, right?
Right.
But the eye, which is an incredibly delicate neurologic tissue, it receives UV light directly from the sun, and so we see a whole variety of different diseases from the back of the eye, where macular degeneration we know has some relationship to sun damage, to more the middle of the eye, where cataract or clouding of the lens of the eye is related to UV exposure throughout our lives. Of course, a lot of other things influence both of those conditions.
Right.
And then in the front of the eye, we have some conditions that are affected directly by sun, where damage caused by UV to the structures on the surface of the eye cause problems that are, in many cases, quite unsightly as well as functionally problematic for the eye.
Okay. Now, when I was a kid, I was told, don't sit too close to the television, you're going to hurt your eyes. So, but we are such screen-savvy people these days, and we're on our screens a lot. Is there damage that can come from that? I know that some people put a blue filter on your glasses and those kinds of things.
Yeah, so screens generally don't put out, especially modern screens, don't put out a lot of harmful light. The greater danger, especially for kids who are sitting very close to screens, is driving nearsightedness, driving the progression of nearsightedness in their eyes, myopia, and that is a real problem. We think that is partially driven by proximity to screens that we all spend too much time on. That's why on your iPhone you can set those settings that tell you, hey, you're holding it too close to your face.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a setting.
Yep, and it drives my 15-year-old crazy that I have that turned on, because all the time he's like, Dad, I can't, I have to back it out way out here. He wants to scroll his feed up close. So screens are not as big a problem really as environmental sunlight, and so really the first thing that we should do prevention-wise is wear some sunglasses. And it also helps tremendously to wear a hat that has a brim on it. That cuts down about 60% on the UV light that we're exposed to, believe it or not. So that plus some UV 400 sunglasses really is most of the protection that you need.
Okay. When do you start seeing that in people? What are the ages you start saying, hey, there's some sun damage here, and where you can start telling people, we need to prevent?
Well, we see teenagers here, especially the surfers and others.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It's not unusual to see some of the conditions that affect the surface of the eye. Because especially those who are on the water, getting the salt water and sand and other irritants in their eyes, combined with the UV light. And remember, when you're on the water, you're getting it from both directions. You're getting it directly from the sun, and you're getting it bouncing off the surface. And polarized lenses cut down on a little bit of the reflected. They don't really protect your eyes anywhere beyond that. So they cut down on some of the excess light. But even if they're polarized, they're generally 100% UV filtered anyway. So the polarization really mainly helps you to see better if you want to see through the water, see where the fish are, see where the reef is. They're nice for a functional purpose, but they don't protect any more than non-polarized glasses.
All right, we got some close-up pictures of eyeballs, which is always fun.
Great stuff.
Let's take a look at this first one here. You're going to have to say this one for me.
I love this word, pterygium. Where else do you get a silent P in the English name? So pterodactyl, right?
That's why you went to med school, so you could say words like this.
So I could say words like pterygium. We could give this a name instead of an eye booger.
God, this looks like an invasion of kind of the white part of the eye into the pupil area?
Yeah, into the cornea. So on the front of the eye, there's a dome-shaped clear structure like a watch crystal that's called the cornea. And next to it, the white of the eye is covered with a paper-thin mucous membrane layer called conjunctiva. In this disease, conjunctiva becomes aggressive and thickened, and a fibrotic, scar-like tissue forms, and it advances on the surface of the eye, on the cornea, to protect it, I say in air quotes, because UV damage is happening to the eye, and it's sort of a protective mechanism. Of course, it's problematic because the pterygium itself can block vision. It certainly distorts the shape of the eye, affecting vision. And it's unsightly, it gets red like this and is uncomfortable, and so it's a problem that we want to avoid if we can.
Is it pretty rare, or are you seeing it more and more?
Not rare around here. If you meet 100 surfers, about 85 of them are going to have this on their eyes.
Really?
In a smaller or larger group. Yeah, lifelong surfers have pterygiums. It is really common.
When we see this start, is there a prevention? Is it something that's going to just keep growing?
They don't always continue to grow when they start, but pterygium are common, and they're irritating even when they are small. And so we don't always recommend surgery for this. We don't always jump to that level if it's mild. A case like this, we probably would, because this is far enough onto the eye, it's affecting vision. This is probably quite uncomfortable for the patient. And really, eye drops can help a little. Lubricant drops are good for comforting the eye, but they don't solve the problem. They don't address the underlying cause.
In an extreme case, there is surgery. I mean, because it's affecting the sight too much.
Yeah, very effective surgery. In fact, we do it all the time because it is so common around here. I personally do a couple hundred of these a year.
Oh, wow.
My colleagues similarly do a lot of pterygium surgery, and that's just because, like I said, there's demand. And it used to be, there's a lot of myths about surgery for pterygium. It used to be that they would come back half the time and that the surgery was painful. And we hear patients all the time who come in with a fairly advanced pterygium and they say, gosh, I was told by my doctor, and I trusted my doctor, that if I do surgery, it's going to hurt a lot and it's going to come right back. Neither of those is true. With modern techniques for this, only about 2% of patients report anything more than very mild discomfort. For most people, it's just a little scratchiness for about a day. And 95% of the time, actually higher than that, they don't come back. So our success rate in terms of recurrence is in the high 90s%. So yeah, they don't need to come back, and it's not a problem you have to have. But you don't want to wait till it gets to this stage.
Right, that seems extreme.
Right, when you have a advanced growth like this, it's going to leave behind some scar tissue that we can't completely remove. And so we prefer to get to it a little bit earlier than this.
And when you see that start to begin at a regular eye exam, and you talk to somebody that there's prevention that can maybe like slow things down. And
that's right. We typically encourage patients to to monitor themselves, to monitor whatever is causing it to be red and irritable, and of course to wear UV protection. And ultimately, if it grows or becomes threatening to vision or significantly irritating or just very unsightly, we often consider surgery.
Okay, we got one more close-up of an eyeball. I'm not going to roll the dice on this one either. I'm going to let you say this
on
one.
the name pingueculum. So this is a mild-ish pingueculum. This is not always a precursor. This is related, though. This is sun damage on the eye. You see, maybe you can make out kind of a yellowish coloring.
Okay, that's what we're looking at.
That yellowish coloring you see is what we call actinic damage. It's just sun UV-related damage to the connective tissues of the eye. Just like we get sun damage in our skin and elsewhere, it happens in the eye. So it's in between the eyelids where we have the most exposure to sun. Pingueculum is often irritating and gets red. It's why our eyes often look a little bit more tired as we get older, why they have a kind of a yellowish hue to them as opposed to looking bright and white like a young kid's eyes do. And these two they're more considered a cosmetic issue than, and there could be surgery done for these. It's actually similar to pterygium surgery, but of course, because it's not threatening vision, surgery for pingueculum is considered by insurance companies to be cosmetic typically. So it's possible, but it's not usually covered by insurance.
And what are some of are there like you said, in some cases, can there be irritation and bothered from that?
Yeah, absolutely. And often people are bothered by the appearance of it. Now, a good first-line treatment for any of these things is to use, as we mentioned, lubricant drops. There's also an eye whitening drop that is on the safer side. In general, eye doctors recommend you avoid the eye whitening drops at the drugstore because they end up causing your eyes to be more red in the long term. One in particular that's probably safer is a product called Lumify. Lumify is a Bausch & Lomb product, and it works differently. It's actually a very well-established glaucoma drug, but in much less concentration, where it whitens the eye. And so, we say once in a while it's perfectly fine to use Lumify. Put it in if you're going to have your picture taken or going on a date or you're, whatever it is. That's right, big night. And you can use that. But if you're using it every day or multiple times a day, that's probably too much, and you probably ought to see your eye doctor.
There we go. And speaking of seeing your eye doctor, regular checkups, how important is it for people to just make those even if they're not having any issues?
Well, the saddest thing is to see somebody who doesn't have any symptoms of vision problems who is going blind or nearly going blind because they didn't have a regular eye exam for a condition where we would pick up glaucoma or we would pick up other diseases that can take away your sight that are silent, that really don't have symptoms until very late in the disease. So if you're over 40, it's important to have, and I know you're not over 40, Michael.
No, not yet.
When I say you are over 40, if you're over 40, you should have an eye exam probably every year. And there are a lot of great eye doctors who can do that. Certainly Harvard Eye is a great place. We live in a community where there are many fine eye doctors who take good care of their patients.
All right, Dr. John Hovnesian from Harvard Eye Associates. Everything sun damage and everything eyeball, you've got it covered there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to see you, Michael.
You're watching This Day. We're going to be right back with Sports Corner.
At Harvard Eye Associates, we are committed to your vision care. and quality of life.
It's a commitment we don't take lightly.
Our trusted team of doctors provides specialized eye care using state-of-the-art technology.
We deliver what matters to you.
And your family.
Harvard Eye Associates, the future of vision today.
Hello and welcome to this Friday's episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young and, as promised, I'll give my Super Bowl preview today. However, before we get to that, the NBA has been absolutely turned upside down by some major trades. News broke on Saturday night that rattled the entire sports world. The Lakers, Mavericks, and Jazz completed a 3-team trade that sent Luka Doncic to Los Angeles and Anthony Davis to Dallas. This is absolutely monumental. Davis is a clear-cut future Hall of Famer. The 31-year-old is a 10-time NBA All-Star and has been named to 4 All-NBA first teams and 5 NBA All-Defensive teams. After starting his career with the New Orleans Pelicans, he won the 2020 NBA Finals in his first season with the Lakers. In 2021, he was named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team. He also won the inaugural NBA Cup in 2023 with the Lakers. On the other end of the deal, 25-year-old Luka Doncic is in the prime of his career and is a top 5 or even top 3 player in the NBA right now. Since his rookie season, he has been selected to 5 NBA All-Star games and 5 All-NBA first-team selections. He also represents the Slovenian national team and is widely regarded as one of the greatest European players of all time. Doncic was unanimously selected to the NBA All-Rookie First Team and won Rookie of the Year for the 2018 season. He led the NBA in scoring during the 2023-2024 season, becoming the first European to lead the NBA in scoring and second international player to achieve this feat. That season, he led the Mavericks to their 3rd NBA Finals appearance. Doncic is also the Mavericks franchise leader in career triple-doubles and holds the record for most points in a Mavericks season. All of this to say, this trade came as an absolute shock to the basketball world and the sports world as a whole. If you're more of an NFL fan, here's a good comparison to make. Imagine Joe Burrow leads the Bengals to a Super Bowl like he did back in 2021 and leads the league in passing yards like he did this season. Then, immediately after, he gets traded for someone like Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, who are towards the end of their careers but can still produce at a high level and have a championship ring. On top of that blockbuster trade, there were a few other major names dealt to new teams. The Bucks traded Chris Middleton to Washington in exchange for Kyle Kuzma. Prior to that, in a 3-team trade, De'Aaron Fox was sent to San Antonio, Zach LaVine went to the Kings, and Zach Collins plus Kevin Huerter went to Chicago. Then on Wednesday, continuing on the Jimmy Butler saga, he was traded from Miami to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Andrew Wiggins. Brandon Ingram is now headed to Toronto, and right before the trade deadline, the Lakers added one more trade, sending Dalton Knecht and Cam Reddish to Charlotte in exchange for Mark Williams. Okay, now that that's out of the way, time to get to the good stuff, the Super Bowl. As I'm sure you're aware by now, Super Bowl 59 is set for a rematch between the back-to-back reigning champion Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles in New Orleans. I figured I'd run through the main storylines surrounding the big game and give my keys to the game and try and predict what will happen on Sunday. As I said, the Chiefs are back-to-back reigning champions, beating the Eagles in 2023, then the 49ers just last year. Over the 59-year history of the Super Bowl, only 9 teams have successfully defended their title. Going even further, no team in NFL history has won 3 straight Super Bowls. The Green Bay Packers won an NFL championship in 1965 and followed by winning the first 2 Super Bowls, so technically they won 3 straight championships, but the first wasn't a Super Bowl win. So the Chiefs are attempting the first three-peat in Super Bowl history. And you can't talk about the Chiefs' success without first mentioning Patrick Mahomes. At the age of just 29, Mahomes is already in the conversation for the greatest quarterback of all time. He has the record for the most passing yards, touchdown passes, and passing completions through his first 100 NFL games. Mahomes reached 25,000 passing yards in just 83 games, the fastest to that landmark number in NFL history. He has led the Chiefs to 7 consecutive AFC Championship game appearances and 5 Super Bowl appearances since becoming their starting quarterback in just 2018. He is one of 5 quarterbacks in NFL history to win 3 or more Super Bowls as a starter. Other than his 3 rings, he's a 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time NFL MVP, NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, and so much more. Becoming the first quarterback to lead his team to 3 consecutive Super Bowl wins would just be the icing on the cake of his already illustrious career. Here's the first of many fun facts of the day surrounding the Super Bowl. With the exception of 2022 and 2016, 9 out of the last 11 Super Bowls have featured either Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, or both. And this year, Tom Brady will be in the booth announcing the big game, while obviously Mahomes will be playing, so the streak continues. Pretty wild stretch of 2 of the best quarterbacks ever in the Super Bowl. As for the Eagles, this is their 5th Super Bowl appearance in team history. Their only Super Bowl win came in 2018 when they upset Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. They fell just shy to the Chiefs in 2023, losing 38-35. This year, the Eagles have added a very powerful weapon that might make all the difference, running back Saquon Barkley. Barkley joined the Eagles roster this offseason after leaving the New York Giants. When Barkley was healthy in his time in New York, he was one of, if not the best backs in the league. This year, with a better roster around him, Barkley proved just how good he really is. He became just the 9th player in history to rush for over 2,000 yards, as he finished with 2,283 total yards from scrimmage, a career-high 13 rushing touchdowns, and even picked up 2 receiving touchdowns. On top of that, in the postseason, Barkley ran for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns in the wild card win over the Packers, 205 yards and 2 touchdowns in their divisional win over the Rams, and 118 yards and 3 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game against the Commanders. Saquon Barkley had one of the greatest seasons for a running back in NFL history, and the Eagles will need to rely heavily on him throughout this game. Under center for the Eagles is quarterback Jalen Hurts. Hurts led the Eagles to their first franchise 10-game win streak after starting 2-2 to achieving a 12-2 record, helping the Eagles clinch their 4th consecutive playoff berth in Week 14. Part of that success came from Hurts' rushing ability, as he finished the season with 18 passing touchdowns and a whopping 14 rushing touchdowns. In the postseason so far, he's thrown for 3 touchdowns and ran for another 4. Hurts and Barkley combined for a very dangerous backfield, so I expect them to rely pretty heavily on the run game behind their top 5 ranked offensive line. Fun fact about Jalen Hurts: he didn't become the starter of the Eagles until Week 13 of his rookie season. For a majority of his first year, he was backup to quarterback Carson Wentz. In a full circle moment, Hurts has the ability to defeat his predecessor, as Wentz is now the backup quarterback for the Chiefs. 2 more quick fun facts before I make my predictions. Number 1, New Orleans is now tied with Miami for the most Super Bowls hosted by a city, each with 11. And 2, my favorite yearly fun fact, the white jersey theory. All 59 Super Bowls have featured one team wearing a white jersey and one team wearing a jersey of a different color, including this year. Through 58 editions of the Super Bowl to this point, the team that wore white jerseys lifted the Lombardi Trophy a resounding 37 times. The New England Patriots win over the Eagles on February 6, 2005, kicked off a 6-game winning streak for teams wearing white. The Green Bay Packers stopped that trend in Super Bowl 45 with a win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, before teams in white jerseys strung together another 6-game winning streak from 2012 to 2017. That streak again came to a halt when the Eagles got revenge on the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. Since then, the winning teams have alternated jersey colors, so it hasn't been too much of a factor. Still, 37 out of 58, or just about 64%, means that the white jerseys have the odds in their favor. And this season, the Eagles will be in their midnight green, while Kansas City will sport their white uniforms. All right, time for my keys to the game and predictions. I spent a large amount of the show talking about the Eagles' run game, and they'll need to rely heavily on that early and often. They have a top-flight offensive line, but the Chiefs' defensive line, led by Chris Jones, will be looking to slow down Barkley and the run game. It'll be a heavy-hitting matchup between 2 dominant front lines. Once the scoring begins, the passing game will begin to open up. This is where the Mahomes-Kelce connection will be crucial for the Chiefs' success. Travis Kelce has had 151 catches for 1,745 yards and has scored 19 touchdowns in 20 games with Mahomes in the playoffs in his career. So, look for that duo to continue their postseason success again this Sunday. With that said, though, look for players like Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, and DeAndre Hopkins to get involved in crucial moments for the Chiefs. Lockdown rookie cornerback Quinyon Mitchell and defensive tackle Jalen Carter have been the 2 dominant forces for the Eagles on defense, so Carter will need to disrupt Mahomes and Mitchell will need to hold down the secondary to prevent Mahomes from playing to his full potential. For the Eagles offense, like I continued to say, they need to run the ball and stick with the run game. Their receiving core is stacked with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, so they can and will have success throwing the ball when they need to, though. Look for tight end Dallas Goedert to play a big role in Philly's offense as well. All in all, the outcome of this game will boil down to the coaching chess match between Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni. Reid and defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo have made the Chiefs an all-around powerhouse, and their extensive experience in playoffs and Super Bowls will give them the edge over the Eagles. To win, Philadelphia will need to minimize any mistakes, corral Patrick Mahomes as much as possible, and score on every offensive drive. I believe this will be a great matchup between two incredible teams, so in my head, it'll be a close final score. Because of their experience, coaching, and quarterback, I believe the Chiefs will compete the unprecedented three-peat and will hoist the Lombardi Trophy by a score of 28-25. Due to my own personal fandom, I hope I'm wrong, but it's hard to ever doubt the Chiefs. It pains me to say this, but this is the final NFL game for at least 6 or 7 months, so enjoy every last second, no matter who you're rooting for. The game kicks off this Sunday at 3:30 p.m. on Fox, but enjoy the pregame material all day long. With all that said, enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday, and be sure to come right back next Friday to recap the big game with me. As always, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young. Have an incredible Super Bowl weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Virginian, don't let me wait. The Catholic girls stop much too late. Look at him, Miss O'Malley. Show like to bounce. Look at him, Miss O'Malley. I said, Georgia. Oh, Georgia. My gift is my song. And
The Greatest Piano Man at the PAC, February 22nd. Tickets at the PAC box office or online.
Dr. Farhumand and her associates at Brilliant Smile are excited to announce we now feature cone beam computed tomography. CBCT scans have many benefits over traditional x-rays. They are fast, safe, non-invasive, and provide better care to our patients. The 3D images provide an accurate view of teeth, bones, and soft tissue. It allows us to diagnose and treat more effectively. Also, it features modern diagnosing of sleep apnea by checking the airways and obstructions. Get started today. Call Brilliant Smile, Laguna Woods Village favorite dentist.
Okay, let's take a quick check of our movies. We got some good ones lined up for you for this Friday and on Saturday as well. We're going to start, of course, with the Thomas Crown Affair. The original, they made a remake of that one with Pierce Brosnan, but this is the one with Steve McQueen from 1968. It's brought to us by City of Hope. It's going to be on at 2 p.m. with the subtitles and 6 p.m. without the subtitles. A very rich man and successful playboy amuses himself by stealing artwork, but he may have met his match in a seductive detective. It's a classic romantic thriller, and it's the original from back in 1968 for Steve McQueen. Make sure you get to see that one. It's a fun one. And then on Saturday, we have Legends of the Fall, and that one stars Brad Pitt. It's brought to us by Hoag Orthopedic Institute, and it's set in the 1900s with 3 brothers and their father living in remote wilderness of Montana. Betrayal, history, love, nature, war, they all come together in this classic tale that's going to be at 2 p.m. with the subtitles and 6 p.m. without the subtitles. Okay, let's take another quick check of our weather before we head out of here. And we got a little bit off and on for mostly the morning part of Friday, and then we're the rain's gonna kind of clear out, and then we're gonna have a mix of clouds and partly cloudy, mostly cloudy, and then even mostly sunny for the rest of the weekend and into next week. We got temperatures in the low 60s. Tomorrow on the program, we are going to be welcoming the India Club and Fit Brain Club to the program, so stay tuned for that one. I'm Michael Taylor, and for all of us here at Village Television, we hope you make this day a great one.